Letting go of toxic people is never easy. Whether it's a romantic partner, family member, friend, or colleague, ending a relationship with someone who has caused you pain can feel like an emotional minefield. The internal struggle is real, as it often comes with feelings of guilt and self-doubt, the fear of isolation or loneliness, codependency, and the weight of emotional attachment. You may also face significant real-world challenges, such as financial dependency, shared custody of children, or even fear of retaliation from the person you are trying to distance yourself from. One of the most vital tools you can use during this process is learning how to set clear, firm boundaries. This isn't just about putting physical distance between you and the toxic person. It's about reclaiming your emotional well-being, your peace of mind, and your power. But setting boundaries, especially when you are still emotionally entangled with someone, can be challenging. In this guide, we'll walk through how to set limits with wisdom and compassion, while also addressing the emotional and practical obstacles that complicate letting go. It's a journey of healing, and one that requires patience, self-compassion, and courage. Let's dive in. Before you can set boundaries, you must first recognize why they're necessary. The toxic person in your life may have repeatedly overstepped emotional, mental, or even physical boundaries. This could look like constant criticism, manipulative behavior, disrespect of your time, or even gaslighting you into doubting your own experiences. In many cases, codependency has developed. You may find yourself emotionally reliant on the toxic person for validation, attention, or approval, which makes it incredibly difficult to break free. You might feel responsible for their well-being or hope that they will change someday. But setting boundaries isn't about punishing them. It's about protecting your own emotional and mental health. It's an act of self-respect. Letting go of toxic people often involves a deep emotional attachment, especially if you've been involved with them for years. You may have a history together, filled with shared memories and experiences. This can create a grief and loss of the relationship that makes it even harder to walk away. You may feel torn between the love you once shared and the painful reality of their behavior. It's important to honor these emotions while also recognizing that attachment doesn't mean tolerance for mistreatment. Emotional manipulation and gaslighting may have been part of the dynamic, causing confusion about whether your feelings and perceptions are valid. Remind yourself that it's okay to feel sadness and even guilt, but that doesn't make the decision to set boundaries wrong. As you prepare to set boundaries, you also need to understand the real-world complications that may make this process more difficult. Perhaps you are financially dependent on the toxic person, and breaking away feels like an impossible feat. You might share children or legal custody, which ties you to them in ways that feel suffocating. Maybe you share a living situation, making it challenging to physically separate. In some cases, social circle influence can complicate things further. If you have mutual friends or a shared community, it may feel like the decision to sever ties will be scrutinized, leading to concerns about judgment or gossip. Family ties, especially with a parent or sibling, can make it feel like you are betraying your family or being disloyal. And in some situations, shared business interests or professional ties may make separating from the toxic person feel like a logistical nightmare. While these real-world issues add layers of complexity, it's essential to recognize them as part of the journey rather than insurmountable obstacles. Setting boundaries isn't just about the emotional aspect. It's also about protecting yourself in practical ways. You can break down these challenges step by step, and doing so will give you the space you need to prioritize your well-being. Once you've recognized the need for boundaries and understood the practical challenges, the next step is to communicate your boundaries clearly and assertively. This is often one of the hardest parts, especially if you're dealing with someone who has been manipulative or emotionally abusive. Fear of confrontation is real, and you might worry that they will react with anger or guilt, trip you into feeling bad for taking care of yourself. But here's the key. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you need boundaries. You have every right to protect your peace. When communicating your boundaries, keep it simple, direct, and firm. For example, you might say, "I need some space right now and I cannot engage in conversations about specific topic anymore." You don't need to justify yourself or explain every detail of your decision. You are entitled to create emotional distance, especially when it's a matter of your mental health. One of the most common challenges when setting boundaries with toxic people is the potential for manipulation or retaliation. Toxic individuals often react to boundaries with anger, guilt, or attempts to undermine your decision. They may use emotional blackmail to try and keep you in the relationship. You might hear things like, "You're being selfish," "You'll regret this," or "You'll never find someone who cares about you like I do." Stay grounded in your decision and remember that their reaction is about their inability to respect your boundaries, not a reflection of your worth. If you are financially tied to them, they might even try to use money or resources as a tool to manipulate you. Similarly, if you share children or custody, they might try to guilt trip you with concerns about how your decision will affect the family. Expect these reactions and prepare yourself emotionally. If needed, have a support system in place to help you stay focused. If you're finding it incredibly difficult to set boundaries, or if manipulation and gaslighting are part of the toxic dynamic, seeking professional help can be a game changer. A therapist or counselor can help you navigate the emotional and psychological aspects of setting boundaries and teach you how to communicate your needs more effectively. They can also help you work through any self-doubt or feelings of guilt that might arise. Sometimes, the toxic person may be so ingrained in your life that it's hard to trust your own judgment. A mental health professional can provide clarity and a safe space to talk through your feelings without fear of judgment. One of the most emotionally intense aspects of setting boundaries with a toxic person is the grief you'll feel as the relationship changes or ends. Even if you know it's for the best, it's normal to feel sadness, anger, and even regret. You may feel like you're losing a piece of your life, and the hope for change can linger. The key to navigating this grief is to allow yourself to feel those emotions without letting them dictate your actions. It's okay to mourn the relationship, but it's also important to remember that you are doing this for your long-term emotional health. Honor your feelings while staying committed to your boundaries. When you start setting boundaries, particularly if you are severing ties with someone important in your life, the fear of isolation or loneliness can creep in. You might feel like you're losing your support network, or that no one will understand why you're distancing yourself. This is where building a new support system becomes essential. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and uplift you. Whether it's friends, family members, or even support groups, having a network of compassionate individuals who understand and support your decision can provide the emotional reassurance you need during this difficult time. The most important part of setting boundaries is trusting yourself and your decision. You are the expert in your own life, and only you can determine what is healthy for you. Self-doubt can creep in, especially when people question your decision or when the toxic person tries to manipulate your feelings. But remember, you are not responsible for someone else's actions or emotions. You are responsible for your own well-being. Finally, once you've set your boundaries, it's essential to honor the space you've created. Whether it's physical, emotional, or both, give yourself permission to step away from the toxic person and allow room for healing. Be gentle with yourself during this process, and remember that healing isn't linear. There will be ups and downs, but every day you stay firm in your boundaries is a day you reclaim your personal power. Letting go of toxic people is not an overnight process. It requires time, patience, and a deep commitment to yourself. But by setting boundaries with wisdom and compassion, you are laying the foundation for a life filled with healthier relationships, emotional peace, and personal growth. Remember, the road may be difficult, but every step you take toward reclaiming your boundaries is a victory. You deserve to be surrounded by love, respect, and positive energy, and it's within your power to create that life. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. You'll receive a notification for our next video on Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of will to power and how to transform toxic relationships into opportunities for personal growth. Thanks for watching.